White people are being racially profiled in misleading advertisements and political campaigns, and I'm going to show you all the evidence and expose the two-tier left-wing outrage over all of this. This, of course, comes as Sarah Pochin, the recently elected Reform UK MP, is currently embroiled in a racism row.
It drives me mad when I see adverts full of black people, full of Asian people, full of, people that basically are anything
What's wrong
other
with that,
than
Sarah?
white.
Well, Pochin has now apologised for her statement, saying this: "My comments on a Talk TV phone-in earlier today were phrased poorly, and I unreservedly apologise for any offence caused, which was not my intention. The point I was making that many British TV adverts have gone DEI mad and are now unrepresentative of British society as a whole. This is not an attack on any group, but an observation about balance and fairness in how our country is portrayed on screen." Well, as she then goes on to point out, a study commissioned by Channel 4 found that black people were featured in more than half of the adverts in 2022, up sharply from 37% in 2020 following the Black Lives Matter movement. Black people make up around 4% of the population in England and Wales, according to the 2021 census. So there you have it. She wasn't wrong about over-representation, was she? Well, many people are saying she shouldn't have bothered apologising, and I can see why, because the far left have been getting away with unabashed anti-white racism for over a decade now. Where was the outrage from senior Labour figures and the far left over this?
Every chief executive of every council and every government department, white. Every director of a department in Scotland, white.
That's Labour leader in Scotland, by the way, Anas Sauer. Or what about this man?
The Lord President, white. The Lord Justice Clerk, white. Every High Court judge, white. The Lord Advocate, white.
Oh, so it's okay to angrily shout about white people being represented in workplaces, but not TV adverts? Come off it, honestly. In fact, recent TfL adverts have, in my opinion, aggressively targeted white men, showing them sexually intimidating women of minority ethnicity.
The man in the grey suit is staring at you. Would you report it? It's him again. You can feel his breath. Would you report it?
There's more where that came from, so stay tuned. Now, we don't have the ethnic breakdowns on this, as the Met Police simply refused to capture that data. But what I can tell you is that despite that advert, white women make up, on average, of over 58% of sexual assault victims in London since 2018, with black women making up 24% and Asian women making up 16%. As for the perpetrators, 37% were foreign nationals. That's according to a Met Police Service FOI, showing arrests and preceding cases broken down by nationality in what they call sexual offences and violence against the persons Freedom of Information request. That doesn't take away from the fact that women, of course, are facing sexual violence, and I'm not trying to make this about race, but it's very important, if we're going to talk about this and throw the words racism around, that we have a balanced and fair discussion. And also, here's a social media post from the Daily Mirror that caused outrage, reading this: "Petition for women-only tube carriages amid growing issue nears 10k signatures." Do you notice anything about the picture there? Oh, and here is another one. This one is mocked up by the BBC and posted on their X account, showing a white, older man on a phone with the caption stating, "TfL is targeting the disruptive behaviour of passengers who play loud music and calls out loud." Well, as a born and bred Londoner who's probably spent years of my life on the Underground, I don't think that's an exaggeration, by the way, I personally have never once sat next to or near an old white man playing music out loud. And do you remember this campaign by the Mayor of London? An advert showing a white man harass a woman while his black friends stand aside.
What is it? What is your problem? You've not said one word. No?
Come on, bro.
You're not so pretty with that face on, you know. I just don't understand.
What are you doing? That's enough.
What do you make of that? I've given you the data. You can make your minds up about whether these adverts are genuine representations of the issue we have in Britain, or whether places, perhaps the Mayor of London's office and some others, are trying to racially profile and be scared of being called the word racist. Well, I think the reality is, in my opinion, that white people are not just factually underrepresented in advertisements, which, frankly, I couldn't care less about. I know many of you can't either, but I couldn't care less. But they are often unfairly targeted and racially profiled, despite evidence pointing to the exact opposite of the campaigns and adverts targeting them. We have, for a very long time, been told the countryside is too white. TV programmes are too white. Everything is too white, as we've seen some of our Scottish leaders tell us. That's not racist, according to them, but every time someone else who might be white points out that there might be some overrepresentation, well, that's racism, isn't it?
Hello, I'm Bev Turner. Now, it can feel like the money in our bank accounts at the moment does not keep up with the cost of living, and maybe there's a solution. I'm here today with the CEO of Tally Money, Cameron Parry. Cameron, what is Tally Money?
Well, Bev, with Tally Money, you get a current account and a debit card, but instead of pounds, you use milligrams of gold as your everyday money.
So why gold?
Gold traditionally is a great store of value. It has, on average, gone up at over 11% per annum for the last 25 years against the pound. It's tripled in value in the last decade. And in the last 2 years alone, it's increased by 50% against the pound. Banks' savings products just can't compete with that level of growth.
But this isn't just about gold. This is about a currency that you guys have created at Tally Money. Explain it to me as though I'm an idiot.
So, look, people need to be able to hold their earnings and build their savings in a money that retains its value and remains in their legal control and remains theirs to access, away from government control.
Great. You had me at not exposed to government control.
You should feel safe and happy with your money. You should have peace of mind. The more money you see in your bank balance, and that's the type of thing we're trying to deliver, and give people choice in the type of money they get to use every day.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Cameron. Thank you.
I want to get the thoughts of my brilliant panel here with me tonight. Businessman and activist Adam Brooks, senior reporter from Guido Fawkes, Ellie Wheatley, and former Labour Minister Bill Rammell. Adam, I'll start with you. I'm pointing this out, right, because I think there is a two-tier outrage. I've given the data that shows, actually, white women are the victims mostly of sexual abuse on the London, across London. Foreign nationals make up 37%, a massive overrepresentation of perpetrators. Yet we're not seeing that being played out in advertisements, particularly political campaigns by some of our offices that run this.
Yeah, look, I think it's OK to be racist against white people. And that has become the norm over the years. People have gone from wanting equality to wanting to put down every white person as some evil person. Now, at the end of the day, my black and Asian heritage friends are sick of this. It's patronising. They feel like it makes them like victims all the time. They just want to get on with their life. They don't want to be treated any differently. We're all the same. We've all got the same blood under our skin. But a lot of the time, these media figures, and many a time they're liberal white people, want to overcompensate. As I say, 50% of adverts have black people in them, yet they're only 5% of the population. That is a gross misrepresentation of this country and is racist to white people.
Ellie?
The thing about Sarah's Pochin's comments, they were really poorly phrased, and I think it was actually fair for her to apologise for it, because we don't want to go down that route where British politicians, etc., and people think it's OK to judge people based on the colour of their skin. Having said that, these adverts, but not just media campaigns, but adverts in general, if they're using quotas are wrong and racist, and they do not help the talented or the less talented, etc. So Quotas are the real problem here as well, as just misrepresenting British society.
Yeah, Bill, listen, I don't care what colour anyone is on a TV advert. I made that clear in my statement. What I do care about is when I see political campaigns, and I've used the Mayor of London's one there because there's two campaigns, one on TfL, one by the Mayor's office. Sadiq Khan sits above both of those officers that would have put those ads out. It does seem to me that white people are now used when they want to portray a sexual predator or a sexual assailant on the television, rather than it being perhaps a more accurate representation where there's over-representation, perhaps of foreign nationals in London. Why do we do that? Why is that? Are we scared of being called racist?
Well, I think racism against anyone, regardless of the colour of their skin, is wrong, and racism against white people is wrong. But, you know, some of the clips you showed, so Anna Sarwar's quote, is absolutely right to point out that virtually everyone in Scottish society in any position of authority is white. And I think
how many people in Scotland are white?
95%.
No, it's not. It's 93%.
Oh, sorry, I'm 2% out.
Is overrepresented with black people compared to the rest of the country. But when you've got a whole strata of society in authority and none of them are black, I think that is a cause for concern.
But is it not racist? Because this is what it goes back to. That, in my opinion, is exactly what Sarah Pochin's pointing out. And it's OK because Anna Sarwar's doing it because he's a man of ethnic minority, and he's pointing out, oh, well, everyone around me is white in power. He's not judging them on their ability. He's judging them on their skin colour.
Right, but Anna Sarwar did not say something that essentially said, I don't want white people in these positions. He was pointing out an injustice. And I think what Sarah Pochin has said today was wrong. I think it was racist. The fact that Nigel Farage has clearly forced her to apologise. Chris Philp, the Shadow Home Secretary, described it as racist this afternoon. However, I think within the advertising industry, there is a problem of imbalance. And what they've done is they've gone from one extreme to the other. So there was massive underrepresentation of black people within adverts on television, and there's now clearly overrepresentation. And you can't have absolute statistical balance, but I think that is a problem. But there are other issues around advertising as well. There's a significant underrepresentation of people over the age of 50 in adverts. Now, maybe it's because I'm an old git. Apologise for saying that. That I see that, but it's true.
Yeah, and they're not as funny anymore, are they?
No.
They're so scared.
And that was going to bring me to my next point, because I think that the reason this has happened is the 2010 era of the wokeness that basically said if you don't have a person of colour in your advertisements, then you are a racist, or you're not your white supremacist company.
The advertising industry they're so scared to cause offence. And what does that block? Humour. You know, do you remember the Cadbury advert, the dairy milk with the boy and the girl with the funny dancing eyebrows? And, you know, funny adverts that you just don't see anymore. You know, when I'm on the tube, I see boring ads, and they do not brighten my day. And so, yeah, they are concerned about quotas, which we discussed are racist in themselves, and not offending anybody, so that they basically become really boring ads, and I'm not going to buy any stuff from them.
But Ellie, I'm not sure it's quotas. I don't think the advertising industry have said X percentage of black people need to be. But what they've done is like turning a tank around. There was massive underrepresentation, and they've gone too far.
I tell you what, it's white liberals within the media trying to virtual signal. It's like reality shows. We've got to have a trans person. They make up 0.5% of the population. But every reality show, we have to have a token trans person. It's gone crazy, and it's the people within the media and entertainment that are doing this, and it's causing division.
And also, as you say, tokenism is also wrong, and a lot of these people don't want to be patronised by...
My little brother's a mixed race, right? They hate seeing it. They find it actually very cringe and embarrassing, because they're looking at it and going, well, this is clearly forced. And then everyone else looks around and go, yeah, I know, it just doesn't look natural.
Same as what my friend said. Well, we're not any different to you. Yeah. Don't try and treat us as special people and try and over-represent us.
What I think happens is that they're forcing you to see race, rather than forcing you to look at the product. They're forcing you to look at the wrong thing on the
screen. Which causes division and winds up... We know there's an extreme on the left and the right, and it winds those people up.
I couldn't care less, frankly. I don't really watch many TV advertisers, apart from the great ones on GBNews, of course. So I don't really care. But I just think we need to have a very open discussion, because if we're going to call one thing racist and another thing not racist, like I showed some of those clips, I think we get into very difficult trouble here. Anyway, listen, Transport Transport for London have got a response for us, because we did go to them for a comment. They have said this. The proportion, previously stated this, I beg your pardon, the proportion of Londoners agreeing that they have all the information they need to confidently intervene in this incident of sexual harassment on public transport has gone up, as well as this 15% of campaigners recognise claims that they have already reported or intervened as a result of seeing or are advertising. So it's a very convoluted statement there. TfL report also shows BAME, B-A-M-E, Londoners are more likely to express concerns over safety and security, particularly after dark, than white Londoners. We have also previously contacted the BBC in regards to their post about the TfL campaign, and we will give that to you as soon as we receive it. Anyway.